The Alaska Triangle, sometimes called Alaska's Bermuda Triangle, is a place in the untouched wilderness of the frontier state, where mystery lingers and people go missing at a very high rate. The Alaska Triangle connects the state's largest city of Anchorage in the south to Juneau in the southeast panhandle to Barrow, a small town on the state's north coast. Here, in some of North America's most unforgiving wilderness. The area began attracting public attention in October 1972 when a small private plane carrying U.S. House Majority Leader Hale Boggs, Alaska Congressman Nick Begich, an aide, Russell Brown, and their bush pilot Don Johns seemingly vanished into thin air while flying from Anchorage to Juneau. For more than a month, 50 civilian planes and 40 military craft plus dozens of boats covered a search area of 32,000 square miles. But no trace of the plane, the men, wreckage, or debris were ever found. Afterward, more planes went down, hikers went missing, and Alaskan residents and tourists seemed to vanish into thin air. In fact, since 1988, more than 16,000 people have disappeared in the Alaska Triangle, with the missing person rate at more than twice the national average. In any given year, 500 to 2,000 people go missing in Alaska, never to be seen again. Authorities conduct hundreds of rescue missions, most often returning without finding the missing person or any evidence at all. Those disappearances are blamed on everything from severe weather to aliens, to swirling energy vortexes, to an evil shape-shifting demon of Tlingit Indian lore called Kushtaka. But the most likely explanation of these many missing people was the wilderness itself. Within this area are dense forests, craggy mountain peaks, massive glaciers, hidden caves, and deep crevasses where downed aircraft or lost hikers might easily be hidden and then covered by snowfall, hiding any trace of human activity. This harsh landscape is also filled with wild animals and is subject to unforgiving weather, including avalanches. More than half of the nation's federally designated wilderness lies in Alaska, and many of the permanent disappearances are linked to perilous natural elements. Alaska is bound by 33,000 miles of coastline, contains more than 3 million lakes, untamed wildlife, and winters that blanket vast reaches of the state in snow and ice. However, there are many that support the idea of energy vortexes within the triangle. Energy vortexes are thought to be swirling centers of energy concentrated in specific places where the energy crackles most intensely. The energy radiates in a spiraling cone shape clockwise or counterclockwise, creating positive and negative effects. They are thought to affect humans in various physical, mental, and emotional ways. Positive vortexes spiral upward in a clockwards motion, creating an enhancing flow of energy. This type is said to be conducive to healing, meditation, creativity, and self-exploration. People actively search these places out to feel inspired, recharged, or uplifted. Some of the places where positive vortexes are said to exist are the Egyptian pyramids, Stonehenge, the Sedona Desert, and sacred temples and cathedrals throughout the world. Alternatively, negative vortexes spiral downward in a counterclockwise motion, creating a draining or depleting energy and depleting the positive energies in its vicinity. In humans, they are believed to cause health problems including depression, nightmares, disorientation, confusion, and both visual and audio hallucinations. They are also said to cause electrical instruments to malfunction. Some places that are said to be filled with negative vortexes are the Bermuda Triangle, Japan's Devil's Sea, and Easter Island. Electronic readings in Alaska have found large concentrations of magnetic anomalies, some of which have disrupted compasses to the point that they are as much as 30 degrees off. In addition, some search and rescue workers have reported having audio hallucinations, disorientation, and lightheadedness. It is unclear whether vortexes really exist, and the theory has been open to a good amount of skepticism, but is it possible? Despite the warnings from authorities regarding weather, wildlife, and environmental conditions, hundreds of tourists visit Alaska to see the unspoiled land, many of whom are unprepared for the natural elements. Some of these people probably become lost in the middle of nowhere, resulting in numerous search and rescue operations performed each year. That, however, does not explain why there are more disappearances in the Alaska Triangle than elsewhere in the state. Whether the mysterious disappearances of the Alaska Triangle are the result of natural perils, strange energy vortexes, or ancient evil spirits, they are certainly alarming. Let's consider a couple of the other theories. Dennis Waller, author of In Search of the Kushtaka, Alaska's Other Bigfoot, the land otterman of Tlingit Indians, thinks perhaps they are shape-shifting creatures that come from Tlingit and Shishamian Indian tales. They also allude to a Bigfoot-like creature that could live in this triangle area. Kushtaka is known as land otterman. These are shapeshifters that assume human form in otter form, and others. The more sinister stories claim the Kushtaka would shapeshift into something tantalizing that would lead hikers to their death. They could imitate a crying baby and lure victims into a freezing river where they would kill the person by tearing them into shreds. The Bigfoot resemblance is that they are said to emit a high-pitched 3-part whistle, similar sounds to what the Bigfoot could make. Another theory is glaciers and snow. Glaciers may look solid, but there are dangerous parts of it that can have hidden holes and crevasses that people may fall into. There's no way to see these crevasses coming until you take one wrong step. And finally, aliens. In 1986, a Japanese plane that was flying to Anchorage from Iceland saw 3 unidentified objects that followed them for 400 miles through the Alaskan Triangle. The pilot said one of the objects was twice the size of a regular aircraft. They also saw flashing lights and that they disappeared and reappeared quickly. Even air traffic controllers reported seeing something on the radar that was 5 miles away from the plane, but couldn't figure out what it was. They were followed for 32 minutes before the UFOs finally disappeared. Are any of these possible, or could it simply just be the wilderness and Mother Nature? More than half of the country's federally protected wilderness is in Alaska alone. The second highest cause of death in Alaska is accidental injuries. The third highest is actually drowning. The problem, though, is that because of the horribly cold temperatures, bodies that drown sink to the bottom instead of floating to the top, making it even harder to find missing persons. So, what's your theory? Is the Alaskan Triangle something supernatural, or is it just an incredibly dangerous part of the country? Alrighty, well that wraps up this one. I'd love to hear what you thought of it below. What theories do you have? Do you think it's supernatural, or do you just think snow is super dangerous and glaciers, etc., so very easily could just be the harsh wilderness, but I love anything Bermuda Triangle related, so I had to talk about this one. There's a surprising amount of urban legends in Alaska, actually, so I had to just pick one. I hope it was somewhat entertaining. Yeah. If you have any suggestions, questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and drop them below. I'd love to hear from you. Don't think I really have anything to say, so thanks again for watching. Stay safe, keep washing your hands. Love to see you on the next one. Bye!